Almost everybody says that you need to find your revision method quickly and what type of revision material you want to make. There are a lot of different ways to revise and lots of different revision material, some good, some bad, but based off science and experiments, and sort of evidence, there's 3 main ways to revise, and I'm going to share my opinions on those 3 methods right now and sort of give you sort of my thought if they're actually good or not. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to press the red button and also leave a like down below. One of the best ways to revise is using flashcards, and I hate flashcards. I don't like them because you just get lots of random pieces of paper everywhere. Flashcards are generally an effective way of revising, as shown by many studies, but it depends on how you make those flashcards, what you write in them. That depends how effective they become. Like if you just write one question and then one answer per flashcard, that's not really effective. If you've got one topic, 3 or 4 questions per flashcard and then all the answers on one side. The sort of repetition element and sort of self-reflection, if you got it right or wrong, engages your brain because you're having to think of the answer and then you either get it right or wrong. Like if you get it right, you know, I don't need to revise that anymore, or I don't have to revise that anytime soon. If you get it wrong, that's the thing which you need to start learning more of, or start recapping more often. And every time you try and retrieve some pieces of information from your brain, that connection in your brain gets stronger. And flashcards isn't just reading. It's not a passive way of revision, it's an active way of revision. Now, say you got all these flashcards. Personally, if I was going to use flashcards, I would sort of use them once or twice, so like sort of like 1 round of flashcards, like one sort of cycle of flashcards, and then go away, study a little bit, and then come back to those flashcards to see, okay, can I get this right this time, or can I actually sort of repeat the information consistently? You might also want to add in a few drawings on your flashcards to make it more interesting, add a bit of colour, not just a blank piece of white paper. Another thing you can do is, once you get a flashcard right, put it in a different pile and then review the things that you got right in 2 days. And if you get it right again, then review it in like 5 days and keep on increasing the time period. Now, something that automatically does that for you is Anki. You've probably heard of it before, but it's like flashcards on your laptop or computer, and it automatically incorporates spaced repetition, where if you get it right, you won't look at it as frequently as the ones you got wrong. So you prioritize the wrong ones. Once you get the wrong ones right, you go back through the ones that you got right before to see if you actually did remember it properly or it was just a one-off. Overall, I'll give flashcards, like, for me, it's like 7.5 out of 10 because it's proven to be effective, but I don't like handling the papers. And with flashcards, I feel like, well, you've made them, so you might as well keep on revising with them, like, as often as you can. An extremely effective way of sort of writing notes during a lesson, and maybe not as well as when you're revising at home, is using Cornell Notes. Some of you may not like it, but that might be because you use Cornell Notes whilst you're revising at home. You don't use them during lessons. Either way, you can use them during lessons or whilst revising, because proven by science, they should be very effective. It might not work for you, that will happen. Cornell note taking based off the university, so university type of revision should work, or should be a good option. Basically, split up your paper into 3 sections. One sort of portion mainly for notes, one side for questions, and at the bottom should be a summary. My computer science teacher was obsessed with Cornell Notes, and he made us do them before revision, and I think they're not that good for revision, but I think it would work well whilst you're in lesson. Like, if you're in lesson, just jot down a few simple notes, like, to look back on at home. Basically, like mini notes, a small title up here, questions down here, and then a summary. And the first thing you spot about it, personally, is that it's all organised. Like, it's not messy. Like, if I showed you my notes, which I think I will later in this video, it's not really organised. So notes is where all the main information is. Like, don't waffle in this, only condense your notes in this. Only put the stuff that sort of covers everything but doesn't go right into depth. The questions here is an opportunity for active recall. Basically, test yourself to see if you know what's in this section. If you don't, that's what you need to revise. And then the summary down here is for like a jog of your memory. It's a quick summary you can just read over to get like a sort of highlight of what all this is. Like, if this was a football game, this would be the highlights. And when you're writing your summary, it's a chance for you to reflect on what you've learned and what you've wrote down. Sort of make all connections in your brain. I would recommend, if you're gonna make notes, if you already don't have like sort of way of doing something, like a method of revising, I would recommend doing these in lesson. To be honest, you won't fill a full page in a lesson, or maybe like in a lecture in uni. Fill this out, then write questions after the lesson and summarise it at home, and add more colour, add pictures, add diagrams. Your brain will love it. Now for the method I use. Mindmaps, knowledge organisers, notes. But if you do Cornell Notes in lessons, then I don't think you should be doing my method at home as well. It's either Cornell Notes in lesson or doing mind maps at home. Basically, the point of doing sort of mind maps, note taking at home, like revising at home, like making a revision material, note style, is that you're actively trying to learn it whilst writing stuff down. Not typing stuff, writing stuff down, but instead of rereading it, you add on different active ways of revising onto it. I don't think that made sense. So literally, make notes using whatever you want. YouTube videos, your school book, revision guides, whatever you want to use. Whilst you're making it, you're actively thinking about the subject, you're actively trying to understand the subject instead of just reading the subject. If you're going to copy down from something like a textbook, write it in your own words, condense your notes, only copy down the important bits, and don't even copy it down, write it in your own words, your own sort of style. Like, I think if I gave this to someone, I don't think they'd understand. Not to say that they're dumb, it's just to say that the way I write stuff down is different. And I said notebook because you can put everything in one thing. Obviously you can have folders and stuff, but like instead of flashcards you've got all this. This is the most passive technique though. Like, it is active whilst you're like actually making it, but after that it becomes passive. You're just rereading stuff, so you need something extra onto it. That's when I use practice questions. And maybe beforehand you've used flashcards, but you want to make some sort of notepad. You want to make something like this. Well, you've used your flashcards to test yourself. You didn't get everything right, so basically only write down your weak points. That's something I'm pretty bad at, because I want to like have everything at my hand, like have everything here. Like, I know that this is the full specification of this course. That sounded very technical. So like everything is there, that's everything I need to know, like instead of hundreds of pages of textbook. Basically with this, I read this before the test. Yes, that is passive, but I only read this through like once, twice. I'm not just using this to revise, but it is the worst way to revise. And this is probably the most time consuming as well, writing notes. But everything is there. If you're going to make notes, one tip, put space in between your notes. Like, this is reasonable space. Like, this is like the borderline. And if you turn over, that is bad. That is bad. That is very bad from me. That's the way I like to do stuff. But that's bad. Have space in between your notes. Also add diagrams, tables, whatever, not just writing. I think the best way to revise it depends upon yourself. Like, that's how I revise mind map, but mind maps won't work for everyone. Make sure you have some sort of element of practice, some sort of element of trying to recall information. Flashcards, practice questions, that's where those benefit you. Also, colour. Your eyes and brain are like, ooh, all these colours, like very interesting. Brain's actually paying attention, and attention, it's easier for your information retention. Attention equals retention. Personally, I think you just need to have one thing to sort of have all the sort of content at your hand, and one thing to test yourself. So I've got my mind maps for the content, and then my practice question, trying to recall information. Another combination you can have is the Cornell Notes and flashcards. Cornell Notes, practice questions. But to be honest, have some sort of element of practice. That's the main thing to take away from this. Have an element of practice in your revision. But yeah, those are the three main ways people tend to revise. In my opinion, practice. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like down below. Press subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.